Yo, what's up, guys? This week we got some more parts. This time showed up in a little bit of a bigger box. This is from Summit Racing. I found out actually recently that Summit now has a distribution center in Southern Ontario. Shipping is free over a certain dollar amount, and all you have to do is pay duty and taxes. But yeah, this box is going to get us started on this week's video, so we're going to open her up. We have wheel studs, 10 of them to be exact, because, well, 5-lug wheels. These next two boxes are identical. .31 spline, cut to fit axles. There's 10 inches of spline on here. According to the manufacturer, I only need to keep 2 inches for this to be strong. But I believe I'm only cutting 3 or 4 inches off. So this week's video, we are actually gonna fill the axle with stuff. First things first, we're gonna grab the center section and make sure that these 31 spline axles actually match my carrier. If not, I plan to buy a spool anyways, which I will make sure when I order the spool to order a 31 spline. But for now, we're just gonna see if it fits in the center section so that I can potentially get this differential housing underneath the truck and lined up for my 4-link. Yes, this does seem to be a 31 spline rear center section, so I'm gonna be able to get this all put together. You can see the spider gears in there. When I turn the axle, they spin. That means it's an open rear diff. Doesn't really matter, I don't care. At this point, I'm just using this chunk for mock-up. Everything looks good on it. There's a little bit of rust and stuff from sitting outside, but it's nothing that's not going to clean up. I believe, if I remember correctly, these are 373 gears, possibly even 355. I'm probably going to leave them alone for now just to get this truck running. Anyways, now we're going to measure up the differential, do the math to cut down these axle shafts. So here's the housing. I know it's really dirty. It's going to get cleaned up. I still have to cut off the shock mounts. For the purpose of this video right now, we take the measurement from this stud right here to the very end of the housing, which is exactly 18.5 inches. And then we add 5 5/8 of an inch to that, which is 24 1/8. I believe is the total measurement from the outside flange to the spline, but I'm just going to double check. So I figured out the math. It is 24 1/8 on the driver's side, but because I have the late Torino big bearing housing ends, I actually have to add 2.5 inches to the front face of this, so it becomes 26 5/8, which is right at 26 5/8 here. What I did was, a zip tie works really well if you pull it as tight as you possibly can. It makes a nice square line all the way around a round surface. Also, the same works with a gear clamp, but I can't seem to find any, or worm clamp, gear clamp, hose clamp, doesn't matter. I can't seem to find one. I thought I had a bunch, but I guess not. So this axle is the driver's axle, ready to cut it down, and hoping my math is right. Okay, so that wasn't as easy as it looked. on the table, so that's why I kind of flipped it up to these jack stands. That way it just rolls easier. They say if you go through this too fast, and like all in one swoop, it can harden the axle shaft, and I don't want that to happen. So this is cut, this side's cut down, and I'm gonna make sure that it still goes into the differential. Which it engages nicely. I'm just gonna clean the end up, cut the other axle, and slam this rear diff together. Well guys, I did get the axle or differential assembled. Just kind of held in with a couple nuts for now. I do want to clean this whole thing up, get everything all painted. I do have a bunch of brackets to weld to this still once it gets in the truck with the 4-link, but I think this gap is too big still. I think this seal is actually supposed to be seated much further in. So I think this axle shaft is actually too long. This one looks okay. I think there's a little, I don't know if I need to go a little bit further, but I think this one's okay. Might trim a little bit of this axle down just because the axle feels like it's bottoming out in the housing. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take this all back apart, and trim both axle shafts down a little bit. So this is the driver's side axle. That's a little bit longer than a 1/4 inch. Well, I measured out the distance from where the end of the bearing sits to the inside of the to the cross pin in the diff, and this will actually give me about a 1/16 of an inch of clearance to the cross pin, and I shouldn't have to trim anymore. And plus I still have plenty of spline left. As much as I don't really want to cut too much off, because I do plan to use a spool, and I know a spool will go all the way through. I want these axles to be exactly perfect so that I'm centering the axle housing or whole differential or whatever you want to call it, centering it in the rear end for the 4-link. So there we go. That much cut off. It's a little warm. And nice beveled, somewhat straight cut axle. I'm not too worried about it being not perfectly square, because it still slides into the diff the way it's supposed to. And when I have a spool in here, they'll be fine. Oh guys, here we have it. This spins nice, and I mean, it's a little tight. So what I did was, I believe I measured this out to be 180 thou. The three washers. There's 3 washers all the way around. And that actually sets the bearing preload. They say anywhere between 0.125 and 0.250. I felt like 1/4 inch was a little on the small side, so I decided to go in between, and this feels really nice. Also, if you look, I know camera angle can be very tricky, but this is exactly 2.5 inches from the axle flange to the housing end, which is the proper back spacing or brake spacing for the 4 9-inch big bearing new Torino rear diff. This side, if I measure out, I'm actually also bang on 2.50, 2.5 inches. So I don't think I need to shorten this axle. All I'm gonna do is, again, I just kind of snugged this up tight last night. But what I'm gonna do is I'll loosen this up, put my washers in here, because I can tell this one's a little tight. It's actually bending this plate. loosen these up, and then I'll put my washers in, and then I'll put the wheels back on. And then it's ready to go in there. I gotta tell you, this is a feeling of accomplishment. Back when I cut this housing down, I didn't think I'd ever see this shortened 9-inch project ever finished. And now that I see it in the hole with my tires mounted, the axle ends welded in place, shortened axles, centered pinion being ready to put underneath this project that I didn't think I would actually start either. It's a big accomplishment. I'm gonna get this centered underneath the rear of the frame rails, get it all leveled up and set up. Oh, I do have to cut off the shock mounts still, so I'm gonna end up doing that tomorrow, just so that I have nothing in the way when I do get my 4-link set up. That is also going to be ordered through Welder Series, same guys that make the cross member that I used. There you have it. Rear shock mounts cut off, ground flat. It looks like I got a couple scratches to fill, and I mean, I got a lot of cleaning up of this rear diff to do, but yeah, I gotta clean up I gotta fill in a couple nicks, make sure that they're all nice and smooth. I know this axle is really old, so it's not gonna be perfectly smooth, but we're gonna go roll this underneath the rear of the truck. Rear axle is in. So far it's some pretty rough measurements, but if you look, so this line right here that I've actually carved into the frame was dead center of the stock bump stops, and then these two black lines make this exactly half the width of the whole axle tube, which is 3 1/4 inches. So from here to here is 3 1/4 inches, and this is dead center. So that should put the rear end in the middle of the truck. I measured from the inside of the rim to the outside of the frame, and I'm 6 3/4 exactly on both sides. I double checked on the tire tread. I know it's not really a good measurement because tire pressure could be different in both tires. I haven't checked the tire pressures in a long time, but it's also exactly 5 inches from here to here on both sides. So I'm pretty sure that's center. I've kind of got the pinion hung up for no special reason other than looks at this point in time. That's not going to be the pinion angle, it's just up. I do realize I'm going to need to do a notch. I don't know if I'm just going to do a half notch and kind of like notch out what's missing, but I don't think that's going to be strong enough. So I think what I might do when I order my 4-link is order the A-frame that Welder Series offers. And then I'll also be able to tie my coilover bar into the A-frame section. These bars, I don't know if I'm going to keep these bars. It was just kind of to get bedsides mounted on them. They're ugly, but they're going to be hidden, so I'm either going to reinforce them together with a bar from here to there, or I'm going to start fresh. It was just scrap metal that I had laying around, and it worked at the time. But what I'm going to do right now is throw these bedsides on and hopefully show you what this looks like. Well, bedsides installed. Some trimming is going to be required. If you look, it's not very straight at all. What's happening is this lip is actually catching on the tire. So either I'm going to have to lift the suspension, which I don't really want to, or trim these bedsides nice. I like the fitment. It's almost exactly what I wanted. The downfall is these are fiberglass box sides, so trimming and reshaping them isn't really a question. It's It's actually really difficult. So what would be nice is if all I need to do is just trim the lip, but I don't think that's going to cut it. I may actually end up having to either raise this portion and maybe have the body lines a little bit off. I mean, they're close, but they're not bang on. Actually, if you look, this body line is, it actually, if you push it into place, it actually looks like it is roughly half an inch lower. I might be able to, if that is the case, because it's kind of hard to tell up here. There's no really color distortion from when this had a box on it. But I might be able to get away with not trimming these. That's flush. I like that. That was a lot of math. That was a lot of math to get that all done and fitting nicely. But I think that's it for today. Okay, actually guys, I lied. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a sneak preview of what this truck is going to look like when finished, to hopefully keep you guys in your seats and pumped for when this thing hits the track. So without further ado, bam. We got the front fitment. I measured out the track width. Sorry about the pile of scrap. But I'm actually 60 inches from hub to hub in the wheels. This is an old grill I've had kicking around. I like this grill. Working on building these headlights. I'm waiting for the lenses to come back from getting cleared. All the paint will be redone or touched up or whatever. Back fitment is nice, but I think I have some leveling issues with the bracing that I built. So like I said, I might actually redo it. But anyways, let's continue this walk around. Go this way, front, and again on this side. This thing, this isn't even put together. It looks like crap up close, but it already looks fast, and that's the point. So again, if you like this, if you like where I'm going with the truck, if you like the idea of the Ecoboost in a truck that weighs less than 3,000 pounds, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell button for notifications every time I make a post. And follow on Instagram at Roofless Garage. I have a window sticker coming. It's gonna go up there along with this Ontario Ranger Club window sticker.